There it was, towering above her. She tried to run, but the lion was too fast. It lunged at her, its claws slashing through the air. She screamed, but her voice barely registered in the chaos of her panic. Chinwe was a young, talented baker in Lagos, Nigeria. She had a reputation that stretched across the city. Everyone from the middle class to the elite loved her cakes. People often waited weeks for an appointment, and she was always booked. It wasn't just her skill, it was the way she made every cake with love, attention to details, and a touch of magic. But there was another side to Chinwe, her temper. Her temper was quick to flare. She often found herself snapping at those around her, especially when things don't go perfectly. One afternoon, Chinwe was hired to bake the wedding cake for a high-profile event. The cake was beautiful, a masterpiece of layers and intricate designs. She gave it her all. She had spent sleepless nights to achieve a design that's amazing. Finally, on the day of the wedding, she spent hours at the venue setting up the cake, ensuring that everything was perfect. She stayed back till the reception started. All the guests were wowed by the beautiful cake. Even the bride shed a few tears and gave Chinwe a tight hug, appreciating her, telling her she really nailed the design. It was another proud moment for her as a baker. The cake was huge, but yet fragile. A special announcement was made by the MC to caution the guests taking a picture of the cake, not to be too close because the cake was literally calling the attention of all the guests. Chinwe sighted an elderly woman from where she was seated. While everyone took a shot of the cake from a reasonable distance, this strange woman came too close to the cake because she wanted to take a shot. The MC tried to speak to her. She ignored and still kept moving so close. As she moved, a part of the veil on her dress smeared some part of the cake. Chinwe, who was already very exhausted, she angrily stood up from her seat. The woman, just as she was about to leave, acting like she wasn't aware that she already smeared the cake. Chinwe, she moved close to her and said in a loud voice, "Can you move back?" The woman turned and looked at Chinwe, and Chinwe said again, "Can you move back, please?" The woman at this point stopped moving. Her body language was given, "Do you know who I am?" Chinwe replied, "No one is this close to the cake. You're just a guest, ma. Please don't ruin the cake at least. Let the couple cut the cake in one piece." The strange woman, she was elegantly dressed. Her face, hidden behind her huge fascinator, but one could tell that she was an old woman, but she was still very agile. She kept on hovering around the cake, ignoring Chinwe just to get the perfect angle of the cake. Chinwe called the attention of the bouncers. They gently pulled the woman away, but she felt a bit embarrassed. She looked into Chinwe's eyes, smiled, and snapped her fingers. Chinwe blinked and shook her head. "What was that supposed to mean?" Chinwe said. "Am I supposed to wait for you to ruin the cake?" The woman turned away, leaving the venue with a wave of grace that felt almost strange, but Chinwe didn't think much of it. It was time to cut the cake. Chinwe conducted the cake cutting. Chinwe did subtle advertising for her brand. She dropped her phone number and lots of people came to get her business card. It was such a beautiful event. Days passed, life continued, and lots of clients from the wedding over the weekend kept reaching out to her. One afternoon, after a hectic week of cake orders, Chinwe's patience finally ran out. She was working on an elaborate wedding cake for a high-profile client. The design was intricate, requiring every details to be flawless. But one of her workers, Chuka, accidentally knocked over a decorative piece, ruining part of the cake. Chinwe's face flushed with anger, and she angrily said, "You can't even handle simple decorations. What kind of baker are you?" she yelled, her voice sharp and cold. Chuka, usually calm and patient, he took a step back. "I didn't mean to," he said to Chinwe. "Please calm down," he pleaded. But Chinwe wasn't having it. "Calm down? You've ruined everything," she snapped, her hands shaking with frustration. She glared at him. "Go home. I'll work on the rest myself. The atmosphere in the bakery grew tense. Our assistants exchanged uncomfortable looks, unsure of what to do. Chinwe's temper had been a problem before, but this time, her anger had gone too far. She fired Chuka on the spot, and she suspended the others for the day. No one dared speak up. They all left, leaving Chinwe to finish the cake alone. Later, she received a call from a regular client who was upset about a minor issue with her last order. Chinwe didn't handle it so well because she was already angry, and she said, "Why are you complaining now?" She snapped into the phone. "If you don't like it, go to somewhere else." The client, on the other hand, stayed calm, but said something that lingered in Chinwe's mind. "You meet someone greater than me one day, someone who will deal with you in a way you won't forget." Chinwe scoffed and hung up the phone, her anger burning brighter than ever. But little did she know those words were a forewarning of what was about to come. That night, after the fight with her workers, Chinwe stayed behind in the bakery to finish a big last-minute order. The Lions Club had requested a special cake with a lion's image for a charity event. It was unplanned, urgent, and there was no help available. Our workers had all left after the argument, and Chinwe had decided to prove that she could do it alone. She worked tirelessly, crafting a giant cake with the image of a lion on it. The details was perfect. Each line of the lion's meal, the sharpness of its eyes, the majestic posture, it looked almost lifelike. By 2 a.m., she had finished, but as she stood there, staring at the cake, something didn't feel right. She couldn't shake the uneasy feeling creeping into her spine, but she was too tired to think about it. She lay down on the couch in the bakery to rest, exhausted from the night's work. A sharp scratching sound woke her around 2:30 a.m. Her eyes fluttered open, and through her blurred vision, she saw the lion. The image she had so carefully crafted was now alive. The lion from her cake was standing right in front of her, breathing heavily. It looked at her with eyes full of menace. Her heart stopped, and she said, "No, this isn't real. It can't be," she whispered, rubbing her eyes, thinking that she was dreaming. But no, there it was, towering above her. She tried to run, but the lion was too fast. It lunged at her, its claws slashing through the air. She screamed, but her voice barely registered in the chaos of her panic. Then, just as quickly as it had appeared, the lion vanished. The bakery door swung open, and the security guard rushed in, hearing her screams. "Madam, what is happening?" he asked, shining his flashlight into the room. He looked around, but there was sign of nothing, and he said, "Madam, we know they live close to zoo. Madam, we no even dey close to the bush. Na the city we dey." He was too confused and almost stuttering. Words could barely come out of his mouth, seeing the condition that his madam was. I don't know. The lion. It was a lion from the cake." Chinwe's voice trembled as she tried to catch her breath. The security man said, "There is no lion here, madam. Madam, are you sure you are okay? There is blood all over your body. What is it, madam? Madam, are you okay?" Chinwe kept on saying, "I fought it. I swear. The lion came from the cake." The security guard didn't know what to say. He didn't know what to do, but he quickly called for help. An ambulance arrived, and Chinwe was rushed to the hospital, still shaking with fear. The doctor ran multiple tests, but couldn't explain what was happening. They asked what the problem was, and the security man, "My madam talks saying a lion bite am." And the doctor said, "Lion? Are you a zookeeper?" One of the doctors asked, raising an eyebrow. "I am just a baker," Chinwe said, her voice barely a whisper. "I don't know why this is happening." Each day passed, and things seemed to get worse. New symptoms showed up. First, she was in a coma. Then, liver issues appeared. Next, a brain infection. Her kidneys began to fail. The doctors were at a loss, unable to understand what was causing these strange problems. Her mother, who was devastated by her daughter's condition, couldn't bear to see Chinwe suffering. One day, a close friend from church, Madam Ngozi, came to visit Chinwe's mother. Madam Ngozi had known Chinwe since childhood. Madam Ngozi said, "I heard about your child's ailment. What is the condition like? What is the problem? I hope she's getting better." Madam Ngozi, "I don't know. She's just feeding. It's like her body is breaking down," Chinwe's mother said. Madam Ngozi asked Chinwe's mother if she could see her. She felt the urge to see her. On getting to the hospital, Madam Ngozi sighted Chinwe's unconscious on the hospital bed, and she looked back at Chinwe's mother. She said, "Never would I have known that this was my Chinwe, even if I met her casually outside." And she sighed secretly, knowing what she has done. She was the cause of it all. A strange, uneasy feeling settled in her stomach. She had known something was wrong from the start. The final realization that she was responsible for it all made her feel uneasy. She was the strange woman at the wedding. The snap of her fingers. It all came rushing back. It was her curse that caused all this to Chinwe. Her heart was heavy with guilt. Chinwe was looking so fragile. She knew she had no choice. She had to undo what she had done. Madam Ngozi stood over Chinwe, took a deep breath, and snapped her fingers. In an instant, Chinwe's eyes fluttered open. She gasped for air, feeling as though she had just woken from a long, oppressive sleep. Her body felt lighter, stronger, as if the weight that had been pressing on her had been lifted. Chinwe's mother quickly rushed to call the doctors. The doctors rushed in. They checked her vitals. They ran a few scans, and everything came back normal. Chinwe's heart rate was stable, her blood pressure was normal, and there was no sign of the previous illness. It was like she had never been sick. The doctors exchanged confused look. "How is this possible?" one of them asked. Chinwe's mother was overjoyed, and she said, "Chinwe, my daughter, you are awake. I can't believe it." She rushed to her daughter's side. "My daughter, I thank God. Are you okay?" Hugging her tightly. And Chinwe said, "I feel so much better, Mama." Blinking in disbelief. "It's like I've been freed." Her mother smiled through her eyes. "I'll make you some food, sweetheart. You need to eat after all of this." Chinwe's mother left the room. She quickly rushed home, and she begged Madam to please stay with Chinwe. Chinwe was left alone with Madam Ngozi. A heavy silence filled the room. Chinwe looked at Madam Ngozi, her mind racing. She knew the truth now. And she said, "You," Chinwe whispered, "you were the one at the wedding." Madam Ngozi didn't flinch. Her lips curled into a faint smile. "Yes, it was me. And it's because you were rude to me. And it was me all along. Remember what you said to me at the wedding?" "Oh, I didn't mean it. I didn't know." Ngozi raised a finger to her lips. "That's not my problem anymore. The only thing that matters now is that you are free. For now, anyway." Chinwe's throat went dry, and she said, But, why didn't you just tell me?" Madam Ngozi replied, "I wanted you to learn a lesson. You never treat people the same way again after this." Chinwe stared at her, fear creeping up her spine. She wanted to scream, to tell her mother everything, but the words wouldn't come out. Madam Ngozi's gaze held her captive. Her presence was overwhelming, and she said, "If you tell your mother the truth about what happened," Ngozi warned, "remember, I am your mother's church member. I am known as a God-fearing woman. Remember not to tell your mother." And if you tell your mother, I will let you know why my mother named me Ngozi. I will make sure you return to that coma. I will make it worse for you. Chinwe nodded silently, understanding the gravity of her situation. It was their secret now. The secret was hers to bear alone, and there was nothing she could do to change it. And so, Chinwe lived with the weight of the secret forever and ever. The end.